All right. So for this week, we're beginning our lecture on managers and management functions. We're going to be basically understanding the role and work of managers, define what management is and the functions that managers complete, and then as well as try to differentiate between the different levels of management. Some of the key terms we're going to talk about: management, planning, organizing, staffing, leading, controlling, what a manager is, what a supervisor is, what an executive is, and then, of course, middle management. So as we're moving into management, you got to understand that there's a global environment that's ever changing. And if you think for a second, what would one reason be that we're dealing with an ever changing management environment? There's a ton of different answers that there could be for this, but largely we're looking at it's a growing world, and our interconnection between different races, can't talk, different languages will all impact management. If you talk about the way that we need to lead, when you start to uh, look at different cultures that could come into that, you have to take into consideration um, different customs that may play a role or impact their work environment. One thing that I can look at is quinceanera, talking about 15-year-old birthday in Hispanic culture. Um, is a huge thing. It's a huge birthday party. Um, there's just tons of things that go on in that process, and not being sensitive to that environment or that culture, uh, and understanding the importance of that to that culture, you may not deal with that situation correctly. So that there's many answers there, and we're gonna address a bunch of them. Management is basically the process of accomplishing goals for an organization through the effective use of people and other resources, and that's ultimately what you need to understand. Every company has a goal, whether it's selling product or selling a service. Ultimately, the manager's goal is to take care of what we call people resources and use them effectively. People are a company's most important asset. Without them, you can't sell a product, you can't service a customer. And so the job of a manager is to effectively utilize those people in the most efficient way to accomplish the company's overall goal. Within that, you're going to have some basic management functions. The first one that's a management functions planning basically involves analyzing information and making a decision on what you need to be done. So if we think about planning as the first step in the management process, if you took it and you just thought about your own goal, you want to make a lot of money when you graduate. Well, how are you going to do that? What would be the process you need to make that happen? For some people, it could be study music. Maybe they want to be a music producer. They want to make a lot of money being making music. But if you don't know how to produce the music, then you're never going to be able to make a lot of money doing it. So basically, the first management function is planning. The manager needs to sit down, create a plan on how to implement the company's goal or vision. The next one we have is organizing, and that's where we start to get into the true management activities. Organizing has to do with how am I going to take my resources in order to accomplish my plan? How am I going to take my resources, get them in the most efficient and effective ways possible to accomplish the company's goal? It's concerned with determining how plans will be accomplished most effectively and arranging resources to complete the work. When we look at staffing, we're talking about the management function of actually taking those employees and putting them in the right positions at the right time of the day. If we talk about a retail format, and we simple as Walmart, we say that Walmart's ultimately wants to take care of their customer and produce product. The next piece would be organizing that. How are managers going to go ahead and put people into position to sell their product? And then staffing. How do I make sure that I have people in place to put product out for customers to buy and then service uh, the customers in order to take care of them, and making sure they have staffing at registers, making sure I have staffing in the back to answer questions. All those different factors go into the staffing component of management. Next is leading. I've organized it. I've put people where they need to be. Now I need to be able to lead those people to produce the desired result. And that is a huge component of management. How do I keep people motivated in mundane tasks? You know, a lot of jobs are repetitive, they become boring. A manager's job is to figure out how to keep that person motivated to accomplish those tasks on a daily basis. The last one would be controlling. And controlling is simply put as the disciplinary action of leading. At some point, you have to have accountability. At some point, the leader needs to hold people accountable. And that's the control aspect of it. How can I evaluate and evaluate people's work performance and to help make sure that they're focused in accomplishing the company's goal? So here, this is where you'd fill out what are the 5 management functions of management, which are all what we discussed. So again, you have 5 functions of management. You'd have planning, organizing, staffing, leading, and controlling. Have a great day. I'll be back for 1.2.